Hello everybody, this is Rick Mantei, and I'm today talking about one of my absolute favorite people on earth, Ronald Reagan. Now, I was around, I can tell you, in 1980, I was at Georgia Air Force Base. We were flying F-4s, and I looked out on the ramp, and we had 24 in the squadron. We were lucky if we could get 6 in the air. 6 out of 24. No parts. Morale was terrible. Everybody was coming back from Vietnam, mad, upset. They were riffing guys left and right, which means reduction in force. They were firing people all over the place. And guys had been used to being in Vietnam wild and woolly. They came back, they were crazy. It was a terrible time. And here comes Reagan, and guess what? I mean, within 6 months of him taking over office, just 180 out, 180 out. We had all the airplanes flying, morale was through the roof. Everybody was happy. We all got pay raises, and everybody was just the happiest you've ever seen. He's my hero. All I know is my personal experience with him. This is not taking politics into it because I don't care how you believe. I'm just telling you the guy was great for us, for us soldiers. He was wonderful. But I got a couple little things that you may not know about him. So we all know he was a president. We all know he was an actor. We all know he was married to Ronald Reagan, to Nancy Reagan. We all know that he had been divorced. And we all know that at one time he was a Democrat and became a Republican. Those are some of the things you already know about him. But I'm going to read some things that you may not know. His mother almost named him Donald Reagan. When he was born during a snowstorm, his mother planned to call him Donald, but changed her mind because her sister had already used that name for her own son. So Donald was crossed out on the birth certificate, and the baby became Ronald. Boot reports that family legend has it that his father, Jack, thought the squalling newborn looked like a little bit like a fat Dutchman, so Dutch was what he called himself until he got to Hollywood in 1937. So that's where the slang term came for his name. His mom was a devoted parent and a major influence, which is typically you find most great men, their moms are a huge influence in that endeavor, which is very true. He went to college because he was in love. He was deeply smitten with his high school girlfriend, Margaret Cleaver. So he goes to college because that's where she went, and guess what? After they graduated, she blew him off. You see where that got him. He was a lifesaver, literally. They said that while he was going through college, he was making money being a lifesaver. He saved 77 lives. So good for him. His dad was an alcoholic. I can relate. He was a surly alcoholic whose drinking affected his ability to keep a job. He described his father as a cynic who tended to suspect the worst of people. He had traumatic memories from childhood of Jack's binge drinking. Reagan's younger son, Ron, told Boot that his grandfather's fights left the adult Reagan with an almost pathological squeamishness with regard to interpersonal conflict. It always happens that way. You see drunks and their kids are just not the normal people in the world. Look at me. His movie studio kept him out of World War II. The execs at Warner went to great lengths to keep Reagan, their lucrative star, out of World War II, helping him avoid more serious service. The official reason was his poor eyesight. He was nearsighted. He ended up spending only 5 weeks as a liaison officer at Fort Mason, a port facility that shipped troops out to the Pacific Theater. He then became part of the first motion picture unit in Los Angeles, where a few military formalities were observed as the troops helped create war propaganda films. And that's what he primarily did, was make those films. Of course, we all know that Nancy was the love of his life, but she was also worried about weight gain, his and hers. You know, she was worried about him getting fat, especially after he was president, and she kept him on a diet. That's probably one of the reasons that he lived. He was 93. Yeah, he's 93 years old when he died, and that's probably one of the reasons he kept his weight down. Here's something most people don't know. I remember that when he was president, he stopped working at 5:50, 10 minutes before 6 every day. Didn't matter what was going on, world crisis, I don't care what was going on. 10 till 6, it was over. And he said, look, if I can't get it done by then, I'm not a very good leader. And on top of that, as a good leader, I should have a lot of people under me that can do this work for me. If it has to go into the wee hours, that's their job. That's what they should do. So he got the heck out of there, and he went home with Nancy, and he enjoyed his life. And he liked to watch TV and eat TV dinners in front of the TV. That's what he enjoyed doing. When he got shot, he didn't even realize that he'd been shot. He says Reagan's face turned gray and his lips blue and blood began to appear out of his lips. He was rushed to George Washington University, where he stayed for 12 days. But he wound up being okay. His best friends were farmhands. He was a simple guy. He wasn't into all these big fancy people, but he got along pretty much with everybody. He was a loner at heart. He was one of the most famous people in the world, but he remained an enigma to those who knew him. His 4 children said that they did not know him well. Even Peggy Noonan, that was a speechwriter, she said, I didn't know the guy very well at all. He was just to himself. Probably had to do with being raised by an alcoholic dad. That probably had a lot to do with it. he really did enjoy jelly beans. The funny thing was when he's president that he kept jars of jelly beans all over the place, but he really liked them. One food that he didn't like, we can all relate to this, was Brussels sprouts. We all hate that. And of course, you know, he started off life as a Democrat. He supported Franklin Roosevelt, but gradually he became a Republican. And of course, he was one of the big GE spokesmen. I remember I was a little kid watching TV and watching on the GE theater. He was up there talking back in the 50s. And even then, I liked the guy. He was a pretty good guy. He was also, this is something that very few people know about him, he was the first person elected as President of the United States to have been divorced. That was a big deal back then. I mean, I remember that, you know, before he got elected, Kennedy got elected as a Catholic. That was a big deal. I mean, it just wasn't tolerated, but he made it anyway. The world's come a long way since Kennedy and Reagan. Anyway, that's my talk for the day, one of my heroes. So until next time, you guys have a good day.